Welcome, Creativo family. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have an amazing artist with us, Anastasia Butacova. She has some really beautiful, vibrant paintings. She works in acrylic, watercolor. She works a lot with the female forms. We actually met last week here at an art show in New York, and I purchased one of her watercolor paintings, this cute little cat with a fish. It was like contemplating eating the fish. We're not sure, but very cute, very joyful, humorous art. But she also has a lot of different types of series that she's been working on. And we're super excited to hear her story today. Comes all the way from Miami, but now she's going to be doing a lot in New York. Welcome, Anastasia.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today and share my story with your community.
Anastasia, so what is your artist origin story? How did you become involved in art? Have you always had these artistic tendencies?
So I went to an art school when I was young. So I went to art school for 4 years and I studied classical arts. So a bit different from what I'm doing right now. But I always had this passion to embrace female form and colors. I found the color inspiration into flowers. Actually, my mom had a beautiful garden, and all the flowers had such a vibrant, beautiful colors, and they always bring so much joy. So I always wanted to transfer the joy of color into my paintings. Um,
Yeah, of course. And where did you grow up, Anastasia? Where was this beautiful garden of your mother's?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Republic of Moldova. It's a very small Eastern European country, small but very beautiful. And my family is also very into agriculture, so we have farmhouses and also have different flowers in the garden. And my mom always had this passion for growing different plants, but especially flowers. And growing up surrounded by this beauty, I always wanted to um, have it with me, within my heart. So wherever I go, I always like to bring this joy from my childhood.
And your parents were supportive of your art as you were pursuing this?
Yes, so I went for 4 years to art school and I always wanted to be an artist, and my parents been always very supportive. However, when I start getting more older, I start to face a lot of boundaries within my old system and circle. Not in my family, but with people who surrounded me, saying that it's really hard to make a living as an artist, maybe to choose a profession which will have more safety and stability, because being an artist is a wonderful journey, but it's also can be very um, not always smooth as we would like to, because art is very subjective, and to find your audience, to find your niche, and to find your inner voice, it takes a lot of time, and you need to make sure you can support yourself. So when I start thinking about it, I instead of embracing um, support from my family, I started embracing the fear, within me. So I stopped painting and I didn't paint for almost 10 years, actually. But then while doing my master's in real estate development, I had an opportunity to work with some of the best developers in the country, and I saw how much investment people do into art scene. And being in Miami, where you have full districts like Wynwood, every wall is filled with color, with a message from so many talented artists, especially artists from Latin America, showing that power of art. And being within this community definitely had a huge impact on my artwork. And also, then I realized, okay, maybe I should give it a try.
So you saw that there was a possibility of really making a living doing art.
Yes, but also I would say being more brave, leave that fear which I embrace being in Eastern Europe, and maybe try to do my little American dream as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet. Wow.
So the interesting fact that initially when I bought the canvas and I made my first painting, I didn't plan to sell it at all. I just wanted to, it was kind of like therapeutic for me because I was studying and working at the same time, and I just wanted some sort of relief. And when I painted that painting, I posted on my Instagram and I sold it within a few hours, and I had such a great support from my community where I was living that I was like, oh my God, people like what I do. Maybe I should give it a try. So I really want to thank the person who bought my first painting, because it's not only my friend, but the maybe reason why I started believing in myself again. So.
Oh, that's amazing. What was it, may I ask?
It was a female form. Yes, my first painting. I will share it with you later. But it's currently in Los Angeles, and yeah, it all started from there. And then I started doing different series and selling it in Miami. I have paintings actually all over around the US. But then it also went to a point where I was like, I want to try something else. The body series definitely helped me to discover my own style in painting, which is like I use bold colors primarily, bold vibrant colors, and I simplify some of my paintings, but I always make sure they bring energy and joy.
Oh, and what drew you to the female forms initially?
Initially, I always found inspiration. So females for me, eternal muses. When I was studying in art school when I was younger, we had an opportunity with my professors to go to different contests in Europe. We went to Germany, Czech Republic, Poland, France, and then in every place where we would go, we would visit different museums and galleries. And take, for example, Louvre or a gallery in Dresden, and the art, and especially sculptures. I would say sculptures definitely had a huge influence for me. So I would say Greek antique art scene and Renaissance had a huge impact on my inspiration from female.
I think I can see that. You have it's like a very unique style where you have the form and it's just a few lines that kind of define how the body shape is, but it's like beautiful in its simplicity. It's almost like figurative but abstract at the same time.
Exactly, you're totally right. It's a true dance between abstract and figurative, and by adding sometimes contrast, very not usual color scheme, I also kind of intrigue, and people that often ask like, oh, why did you choose this color or that color? But the thing is, I don't know, it just happens intuitively, to be honest. But what interesting, while doing this intuitively, I started looking into psychology of the color, right? And it's very interesting how different colors have a different impact on our mood and the way we perceive information. And even, for example, bringing yellow color will bring joy. The green will be soothing color, right? Color of nature. And a lot of interior designers and architects and artists, they use different colors to put a viewer in a certain mood. And by choosing contrast color palette, I sometimes want people to have this full spectrum of emotions.
Oh, wow. So when you choose like a blue and an orange,
Mhm.
it's like it's giving someone energy from the orange, but calming from the blue at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
And um, it's very nice that you you realize it. But orange and blue is actually one of my favorite mix. And a lot of brands, a lot of very famous brands use the same color palette as well, because it gives you sort of balance, you know. And I like to have this harmony within my artwork.
Mm. I find that blue is just like it's a beautiful color because it has so many different tones as well. You can
Mhm.
have a energetic blue. The series that was at the show where I met you,
Mhm.
like you have this, the back of a woman on the
Mhm.
beach. She's like sunbathing.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'll show our audience.
Mhm.
And it's just like, she's just like chilling and you just see her backside, but
Mhm.
it's a very serene blue, almost
Mhm.
like the ocean color actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what I realized that color is so soothing. So a lot of times I mix very vivid colors with titanium white, and it brings this smooth um, color ending. I don't know how to say it correctly. Um, yeah, and then in the future, I definitely want to explore more forms. And actually, in September, I'm going to start working on a new project where I will be not focusing on one body, because usually my work will contain uh, only one character, but I would like to have different multiple characters and using different color palette to show the unity within a human society.
You keep mentioning you like to convey a specific message of
Mm-hmm.
unity
Mm-hmm.
or joy through your work.
Yes. So um, before I studied real estate development, I also did undergrad in international relations, and I also studied gender roles. And um, generally, by studying international relations and politics, you learn a lot about uh, a lot of sufferings in the world and a lot of different policies which people face depending on the country where they're growing up. And I believe that um, there's too much going on in the world. So sometimes you just want to have this something where you can look at and just relax, have this good spirit and good energy without, reminding you of some like trauma or something. So
Yeah.
I feel that all of my work kind of um, embrace with essence of goodness and positivity. And sometimes I think about it, um, maybe I add sometimes too much sweetness into my paintings. But then on the other hand, is it's just a personal choice, you know.
So do you find yourself inspired by other artists as well as nature?
Yes, I found a very big inspiration in Henry Matisse's paintings, and you can see also um, he painted female forms as well, and he used a lot of bold colors too. However, while a lot of his colors also go a bit maybe grayish or pastel, I prefer to use more vibrant color. So also, and the same as I like artists like Pablo Picasso and Helen Bird. She's still living artist, and she's UK artist, but her work is very sensual. But I found inspiration in her work because she's not afraid um, to show her true feelings. A lot of her work is also a bit sexual, but I found it very brave, because sometimes even as an artist, maybe not at times, but all the time, you also face the dilemma: how far can you go, for
Mm.
the people? to understand your art, right? And also because if you're doing a living from your artwork, it's also important to understand, will you be able to sell your artwork? Will you be able to share your artwork with different galleries? And if the people will find your work relevant, you know?
How do you find that balance between like expressing yourself as well as like what the market wants?
Okay, so my real estate development degree really helped me a lot because understanding the space and demographics can really be helpful, especially for a new artist. Because even if you create the most beautiful work, but you can be maybe in the wrong place sometimes because maybe the market is not right. For example, where I grew up, I know that style, my style is not going to be sellable. I understand this and embrace it. So I got very lucky that people in Miami specifically truly supported my art. But I also understand that it's not for every market. I would say like it's very important to see the buildings, the style. For example, in New York, most of the people live in it's like a concrete jungle, right? So you have smaller places. The same in Miami, you have larger buildings, larger apartment, and people have more wall space. And it's also about different styles. I would say that the company at which I used to work helped me a lot to understand it because the office was filled with artwork, sculptures, and the CEO of the company is is a person who invested a lot in art. And while being there and seeing the projects which they created and the art they chose and why they chose it, truly helped me to understand how can I create something what I like personally, uh, filled with a message which I want to share, but also be able to make living out of it.
Notice with the vibrant colors you mentioned, your mother's garden inspired you, but you also lived in Miami, and I've noticed the art there is so colorful. Do you think that inspired how you create art and the colors that you use as well?
100%. Miami has been has had a huge impact in my artwork, and it's for me it was a huge inspiration, but also because I traveled a lot. I lived in India for 1 year when I was younger. And for example, on a celebration of Holi, you have all these bright, beautiful colors. And what I found very inspirational is they have a lot of different traditions, and even their clothes are always just have so much vibrancy and so much life into that. So I think that in my artwork, my life experience kind of blended itself. So
I didn't realize you lived so many different places.
I lived in so many different places, and sometimes I feel that I lived several different lives, but that's exactly what makes some of my artwork is some of my artwork you can feel a bit of difference in also styles, and before I used to have a bit of question where I belong to, because when you live in different places and you belong to different communities, you can get a bit lost, you know. But I found that I have only one life, and I want to experience as much as I can, and I want to truly embrace this gift of living. That's
Wow. And what do you feel like is next for you as an artist? what's inspiring you? What will your next series be? Is it more cats? Is it more forms?
Yeah, so next series, as I said before, will be focusing on multiple characters within one painting. And I'll try to, I'm still thinking about what exactly it's going to be. And sometimes I imagine it in my head and it's very hard to express it with words, you know. But
we'll have to see it.
Yes. But this September, I will be focusing on that. I'm hoping to work with different galleries here in New York City, and so far it's been so good to be here. I'm really grateful for my experience here because New York is obviously one of the most powerful places for art scene, not only in the US but in the world. And I hope I can meet a lot of different artists, curators, and truly embracing every day, trying to visit different galleries, see what people like, what we think about, what we're thinking about when we're buying art. Because sometimes you buy art very spontaneously based on emotions, but sometimes you think about it. You know, you create a space. It's like picking color of furniture, and you know everything has very deep thought to it. So it's interesting to learn about this and exploring arts market here in New York City.
Wow. Well, one thing I'll say is that you're a very thoughtful artist as well as being a very emotional artist. It seems like you're really thinking everything through when you're creating in multiple planes of thought.
Yes, thank you. I think it makes life interesting, you know, bringing different experiences, meeting different people, hearing different stories, and you know, having a courage to be yourself. And um, sometimes it feels like I used to be a very big planner. I used to plan a lot of things, but then now I'm trying to be more fluid with it, because sometimes when you plan too much, something can happen and it just, you know, it's just not happening. Like for example, I'm supposed to start my studies in Paris in September, and then just last week I decided not to do that. Not because I don't want to go study art in France, but because I truly believe that right now I have an opportunity to grow here in New York City. And I feel when life gives you opportunities like this, it's important to have a bravery and make a step forward.
Of course, yeah. And where can our audience find you? What do you have a website? What is your social media?
Yeah, so my you can find me on Instagram. It's Butacova Butacova, or my website will be ready actually next week. It's going to be butacova.com. And there you will find my previous artwork, the work I'm currently working, also the galleries where I used to work before, and my future project. If you have any questions for me in the future, I'm always happy to collaborate with different artists. And
anyone who gets to meet Anastasia in person, you're just like just as beautiful as your art, and you have a lovely personality as well. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Please go check out Anastasia Butacova. Her work is amazing, and we will link everything down below.
Thank you so much.